Hey guys, welcome back to ArxangelRC. About 2 weeks ago I was finally ready to test fly the Skywalker EVE-2000 with a brand new L9R receiver in an attempt to verify the results I was getting with this receiver on my XUAV clouds. Sadly, upon takeoff, this happened. The problem is that one of the motors has a timing issue at full throttle while the other doesn't, and as you just saw, that was the result. I had solved this by limiting the autopilot's throttle to 75% because for this plane I use auto takeoff, but I had forgotten why I've limited it, so I put it back to 100% and it bit me in the back for forgetting. Good news is nothing major got broken. Even though it landed upside down on the tail, it survived perfectly and I only needed to glue back the antenna stand and to drill a new centering hole for the carbon tube where it mounts in the fuselage. The nose was a bit bangled up, but it was nothing a quick hot bath and some glue wouldn't fix, and I think I managed to get it very close to stock, shape-wise of course. So with all repairs done, I was ready to try that again, but this time I put back the 75% limit on the autopilot's throttle, and guess what? Perfect takeoff. Of course, I did forget to start the camera recording, but first I did some trimming on the elevator and ailerons because it needed some, landed, started the recording and took off again, and this time it was an even better takeoff with the trimming sorted. So I was off into the distance to see how far the L9R will get. Here I was able to get the RSSI working via the Pixhawk, so this time you will get to see the signal go up and down as the plane flies away from me. One problem I'm having here, even though I'm powering the whole video system from a secondary battery, there is something on board the plane that is putting some interference into the video, so most of the time there are these fine dark lines in the signal, and even though it is a perfect signal to the ground, with the lines there I can barely make out where I'm going. At least I can see the OSD overlay well, so I know the plane's not falling to the ground. One of the things I like about this plane is the way it gains altitude. It is simply effortless. Even if I don't want it to, it just wants to go higher and that's it. And for a person that likes to chase clouds a lot, I find this particular capability very alluring. Keep in mind that throughout this flight I was barely using the elevator to try and make the plane go up. It mostly took care of that by itself, which is very unlike what is happening with the XUAV clouds, where I have to fight it to go up, but that may be due to a heavy nose and possibly off-trim tail, so we'll have to deal with it at some point and try to make it climb easier. On to the range test now. You can see the RSSI indicator on my OSD on the left side of the screen with the little radio icon next to it. You will also notice that even at this distance the signal strength is quite impressive. On the ground I was moving the antenna a lot to try and figure out which position gives me best signal, and I think simply having it as vertical as possible works best. Around the 15th kilometer the signal dropped suddenly to 1% and the plane went into failsafe. At this point, changing the antenna's orientation did little to fix the issue, but shortly after I tried raising the radio 30 centimeters from its current position, and guess what? I got back over 50% signal strength, but at the moment I put it back as it was before, RSSI goes to 1% and return to land persists. I decided not to push it further because holding the radio 30 centimeters higher meant that I would have to do the remainder of this flight with my hands in the air above my head, and that was a very tedious and tiring position to be in. And besides, because of the interference in the video, my tracker was losing tracking coordinates even though the video quality was good, so I decided to leave it flying towards me. But since the plane had gotten so high, I decided to take advantage and to have some fun in those clouds. And here is a funny story. On the way back the wind had actually changed direction, so now I was flying against it, and up there it was blowing hard. Even on the ground it felt like a storm coming. The plane was flying at 10 to 15 kilometers an hour at 74% throttle. Actually the clouds were the ones moving around me. I was pretty much staying in one place. At some point When I lowered the throttle, I was still seeing 10 kilometers an hour on the OSD, but funny enough, the distance from home was actually increasing, and I was flying straight towards the home point. That meant that actually the wind was blowing me back and away from home point, so I just pushed the nose of the plane down and actually picked up some forward momentum and was eventually able to fly home. If I did not have that altitude to help me speed things up, there is a very real possibility that the plane would have run out of battery before reaching home, despite it being only 10 kilometers away at this point. Right now, I will not be letting this flight play out at normal speed because it will make the video too long. But right after this video, I will upload the full flight with some nice music on, so those of you that like this sort of thing can enjoy it fully. I know I did when I watched it. So final words on the L9R. Despite the receiver in this plane being a brand new one straight from the factory, it still showed performance on par with the very old one that I have in the XUAV clouds. This means a few things. First, the L9R really is an outstanding receiver with capabilities far above those that probably even the manufacturers hoped for. Second, FrSky really do know how to design and make good gear, and this only reinforces my trust in them. And third, it also means that throughout the years the quality and capabilities of this receiver have not changed, which means manufacturing is of high and consistent quality, and they have not tried to shave off costs by compromising here and there with subpar components. Well done, FrSky. At 15 kilometers I did lose signal, but as soon as I raised the radio 20 to 30 centimeters higher, the signal jumped back to over 50%, which only goes to show what this receiver is capable of, and that is with a 5 dB omnidirectional antenna on the ground. And keep in mind, I have an unshielded tail cam that records video, so who knows how much interference that thing is spilling out as well. It will be interesting to see what could be done with a proper directional antenna, but then I will also have to work on the video system to make it keep up with the L9R receiver. I am so amazed and so happy with the results of this test. At this point in time, I don't think I will have a need for my 433 MHz R-Link system unless I want to go 100 kilometers and switch video to the 1.3 GHz spectrum, which I don't see happening for now, and the Taranis with an L9R receiver more than adequately satisfies my needs for distance. I will fix my video system and will push this receiver to its limits with a few things I've got planned for the not too distant future. I really hope this video will be helpful to those deciding whether to invest in this system or not, and will be interesting enough for everyone else to give it a thumbs up and possibly subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If this video has convinced you that the L9R is the receiver for you, or if you just want to support my channel, buying any of the items featured in this video via the links in the description below would be greatly appreciated. Stay tuned for the full-length flight video, and I will see you soon.